The people who love you most were calibrated for an older version of you. This is simply the truth, and until you understand it, the friction you're feeling right now will keep reading like rejection. What you're actually experiencing is a contract renegotiation that nobody agreed to, and the hardest part is that nobody even knew a contract existed in the first place. Welcome to Daily Power Boost. I'm Sean Michael. This isn't a podcast about pushing harder or fixing yourself. It's a space to see clearly how your experience is actually being created. Each episode offers a simple shift in understanding, not a tactic, not a hustle, a clearer view of thought, identity, and the patterns you've been living inside. Because when misunderstanding drops, relief rises, energy returns. You move forward with calm, sovereign clarity. This is your daily power boost. You change genuinely as a fundamental shift in who you are at the operating level. The people closest to you, they're simply responding to the gap between who they knew and who keeps showing up now. In our last episode, we talked about letting your own work land by dropping the armor and stopping the preemptive apologies. But that work, it has a relational cost that most people don't see coming. You see, when you stop making yourself smaller, the people around you notice, and they often respond in ways that you never expected. Someone I work with described this as a kind of loneliness that she never expected. She had done real work, experiencing the actual shift in how she moved through her life. She moved with a new calmness, leaving behind the need for reassurance and the habit of over-explaining her decisions. The people closest to her got quiet and careful. It was as if they were waiting to see which version of her would show up next. Feeling like the familiar grooves in the relationship disappeared, and nobody knew exactly where to step. One of her oldest friends even told her, half laughing, that she used to be easier to talk to. She laughed too, but she held that line for weeks. Here's what was actually happening beneath the surface. The relationships in her life had been built around a specific version of her that required processing out loud and constantly checking back for external validation before making a decision. That older version made the people who loved her feel needed and close. The new version didn't need those things, and to them, it felt like distance, even though she hadn't actually gone anywhere. If you're thinking of someone specific right now, that means the episode is working. This friction simply signals that the old terms no longer apply. Some people built their entire sense of closeness on being the one you leaned on. So when you stop leaning, they genuinely don't know where to stand. This dynamic is the inherent cost of the shift. Understanding this doesn't make the friction magically disappear. Some relationships will stretch and find new terms, thereby deepening the closeness because there's more of you to connect with. Others won't stretch, and you will eventually stop reading that as a verdict on the validity of your shift. You'll find yourself in a conversation feeling that familiar pull to shrink back to the old shape, to retreat into uncertainty and make yourself overly available to match who you used to be. But you'll notice the pull for what it is. You'll stop making yourself smaller just to pay a tax on the relationship, and you will start to tell the difference between the people who are adjusting and the people who were never going to adjust in the first place. This provides a cleaner map of where you actually are. I have one question for you today. In which relationship are you still performing the old version of yourself? And who decided that was required? If this episode found you somewhere specific, in a relationship where you've been managing your own growth just to keep the peace, your no-cost identity call is where we look at exactly what that management has been costing you. The link is in the show notes. In the next episode, we'll go deeper into the relational layer to look at who adjusts, who doesn't, and what you actually owe the people who preferred you smaller. With strength and heart, I'm Sean Michael. Stay close. Thanks for tuning in to Daily Power Boost. Ignite your potential. Remember, transformation starts with action. So take today's insight, make it your own, and awaken your inner potential. Because remember, greatness begins within. Catch you tomorrow for your next Power Boost.